Yeah, Adam,
Geez,
one
why,
thing.
why do you think they called bumpers, Gary?
I don't know.
Because they come at the beginning, at the end, like bumpers.
Alex, you're a marketing guy. Do you like that design behind Paul? Does that sweet logo thing look pretty cool to you?
Hey, I forgot to hit the record button.
Yeah, that's really professional, isn't it?
Well, this is a professional podcast.
I met her in a parking lot and was handed two little Yorkies. And the only person I knew that knew Yorkies was Paul. So I called Paul and said, Paul.
Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education and Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. Find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud and subscribe today. Now it's time to get started with Sweet Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sweet Talk, our weekly podcast here at Idaho State University's Continuing Education and Workforce Training. I am Paul Dickey, one of your hosts. I am the Video Instruction Manager and Apprenticeship Coordinator here at SWEET. And as always, joining us today is our Director, Raylyn Price. Raylyn, how are you doing today?
I am great, Paul. I think I say this every time we have a podcast, but I'm excited about our guest that's here today. And I'm probably because her position is near and dear to my heart. She's a fellow nurse. And so I'm excited for this podcast and to learn from Missy. But first, I'm going to turn the time over to Angie so she can introduce Missy to us.
Well, thank you, Raylyn. As many of our normal viewers or regular viewers are aware, we often have guests on in a series we call Every Student Has a Story. This is kind of adjacent to that as well. Today we have on Missy Ricks. Missy came through the CNA and LPN program here at Idaho State University. So, of course, the CNA class here at SWEET and then the LPN class at the traditional venue at the college. Welcome, Missy. Can you take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey?
Well, I started off in the nursing program or area mainly because I would look in the newspaper as a young mother and be, what job could I do? And all there was CNAs and nursing needed everywhere. And so I was like, okay, what is this, changed, right? And got into it and became a CNA for 4 years. Nice. And had my little girl and had another one on the way. And I decided, okay, I'm going to go for nursing school. Completed that. And I can't believe it. I'm going on 20 years of being a nurse now.
Oh, wow.
4 of that was a CNA, so 24 years total in nursing experience. But I did it all through ISU, and it was an amazing journey. I have thought of going back and continuing my education, but because I've been so successful in my career along the way, I don't feel I have to.
That's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also started over. I had 2 daughters going through it who were 4 and 6 months when I started my journey as a LPN in LPN school and completed that. And then I started over later in life and now have a 5-year-old son.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
And my oldest is 26 now. So
wow, that's a
yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know if I really want to start all over everywhere in my area. And I've moved up to a management position and I'm doing well. So
excellent. So Missy, when you enrolled in the CNA program, was it your intention to go right into nursing, or were you starting out as CNA?
When I did the CNA program, I ended up embracing it and was a CNA for 4 years.
Very cool.
And really loved the patient care and taking care of the patients. And then I would watch the nurses and that and thought to myself, I want to be able to directly help these patients more and do more for them. So I decided, and also because I was a single mother, I wanted to support my children. And so I knew nursing, who doesn't need a nurse?
Right, that's so true. So was it your intention when you started out to always stay in long-term care? Is that where your passion lies?
It is. I love the elderly. They've just near and dear to my heart. They're all my grandma, grandpies, uncles, and aunts. And I couldn't do babies. It takes, each nurse is special in their own area. And I hate seeing kids sick. Not that I can handle the elderly, but I at least know they've had a good life. And I
Mm.
like being good to them in their end days and being there for them. And,
That's
some don't have families, and I like to be that family for them.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I always remark that, anyone who's working at a care facility, that is always someone's grandmother, grandpa, mom, or dad, and they deserve the
Absolutely.
best care possible.
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Sometimes in our long-term care, these are people, well, anytime really in healthcare, they're people who can't take care of themselves, but
Yes.
especially with our older population, they really do need somebody
that's
who's there to
hard.
care for them. Yeah, they've had
Yeah.
independence, and now all of a sudden they're in a situation where they're depending on people for their care. So
Mhm.
important to have great caregivers. So thank you for being
Exactly.
for them.
Yes. And I try to make the transition easy because I can only imagine. I try to put myself there someday, as I will be,
Yeah.
and I would want the same treatment that I give and provide.
For sure.
Yeah.
Treatments, though you were caring for your parent or your grandparent.
Yeah, I did. I took care of actually my mom. She got stage 4 lung cancer and was
Oh,
given a
wow.
year to live, and she made it 3 months. And so in
Mm.
her final days, I moved her into my home, and I was her nurse and took care of her before
That's
she passed.
amazing.
And then I moved my 96-year-old grandmother in with
Oh,
me when my mom died because my mom was her caretaker.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
moved her in, and then I also took care of my grandmother too. And she passed shortly after. Unfortunately, I got COVID, and
Oh, wow.
oh,
poor Grammy got COVID with me. And
Oh, my
so,
oh.
goodness. Wow.
yeah, so it was rough, but I was glad and very privileged to have said I was the one that got to take care of them in their final days. I didn't have to put them in a home. I put them in my own and
I was
treated
gonna,
them.
yeah, I was going to ask you, Missy, was it quite different because you were so used to caring for other people's, you know, loved ones. When it came time for you, was that hard, or I
Not
mean, because
really. I thought it would have been. I don't know if it was just because I was in the moment and it was more of a shock kind of thing, than, oh, it's my loved one. But I just kind of went into nursing mode, and
oh,
this patient is, yeah, they happen to be my mom, but I'm still going to do the exact same. I may have cared just a little bit more. I mean, I put on a playlist I made a musical of her favorite songs and played them, even though, she was unresponsive. I didn't know if she could hear or not. So I made all of her favorite songs and played it on a
Oh,
Spotify and just put it on 24/7. And I was in there every 2 hours administering her medication and checking on her, cleaning her up, even though I had the assistance of hospice care. But just gave a little extra TLC. But I felt like it was no different because I'll do that for any of my patients too.
oh, that's great. Now,
Yeah.
Missy, you've been doing this for a long time. You said 24 years,
Yes.
and you're still working in elderly care facilities, correct?
Yes.
So
The one I'm in now, I'm more in a management position. I'm the
Okay.
MDS nurse. So I do all Medicare and Medicaid assessments for the state and transmit them. And it just shows our quality of measures. I've been in this position probably about 8 years now, in this
Wow.
building for 13 years.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Missy, maybe tell us a little bit about your journey. Looking back, if you could do it again, is there anything that you could do different? And maybe just tell us what that looks like or looked like for you to be a single mom, going through school, getting your education. So that's a
I
big
would
question, but
maybe continue my education it was really hard being a single mom and getting through the nursing program. It really was. My
What did that look
stepdad had
like?
died during it, and you couldn't miss so many days or it dropped you a whole letter grade. You could never get below a 70% in any of your classes or
Mhm.
you got kicked out. We had 46 that started the journey and only 26 of us graduated.
Wow.
So it was difficult, but I just strapped in there and said, I'm sticking to this. I have 2 little girls who are dependent on me, and there's no turning back. I wish I would have continued my education. I wanted to break and was excited to go make that money and be a nurse finally. That I had passed the NCLEX and now I could go actually be a nurse. But once I got in there and started working, it was hard to go back. And so I kind of wish I would have just continued on through and got it all the way to get my RN. I'm proud of myself as an LPN. The position I have now is normally done by an RN, but I was, told by them or from them that I was their best nurse. And, it was
That's
an
pretty
honor to
cool.
get promoted to this position. I do miss not being able to do hands-on patient care as much, but I also get to see a different side. I do all the care planning and
Very
still get to
cool.
be part of their plan of care. It's just in a different form.
Right.
So I also worked at a men's prison in Boise too. So
Really?
I've had some different experiences in nursing, but I've
Wow.
always came back to the elderly. I just love them.
To the long-term care.
Yeah,
So as a student going through, did you find some resources that were really valuable for you to enable you to be able to go to school and to be a mom?
I went to an academic advisor and had them find free tutors for me and stuff for my anatomy and physiology when I was struggling or getting a little nervous. I thank God had a great supportive system of my mom when she was alive. She helped watch my kids. And so that was very helpful for me. That I just had the support of my family.
Okay.
But
So,
yeah, the
Missy-
academic advising and going to any resources that ISU offered was very helpful also.
So, Missy, I know you said that one of your greatest motivations of going into the CNA program and initially was to, provide for your kids, to make sure you had that kind of support. Was there any time during as you traveled through the CNA or the nursing program that someone inspired you to actually not only is this a way of me caring for my family, but this is the thing that I always want to do for the rest of my life?
Well, it's kind of funny. What I wanted to do is actually be like Dr. G. I don't know if you guys know who she is. I wanted to be do autopsies. I love crime and detective work, and so I wanted to solve homicides on like how they died. And so, and you have to be a doctor for that. And so as a single mom, I'd have to move, I think it was to Phoenix or California. Those were the only medical schools. And I knew my family couldn't follow me there. And so I was like, okay, I'll do nursing. And that was at the time I was already a CNA. But I was like, I want to do more. I love the care. And okay, I can't be, do autopsies and be a doctor, but I can go and be a nurse. So I'll start there. So that's what made me do it. But it was just seeing nurses in general taking care. I got to see them do CPR and save lives and be part of that team in there trying to do compressions with them and helping them hand them the stuff they needed. And it was the thrill and excitement of it for me and the adrenaline. And it got me to want to continue my education.
Oh, okay. Now, also, Missy, you're working in a care facility right now, so you're seeing young CNAs coming into, being employed. Do you ever feel inspired to push them, going, "Hey, you're great at this. You should"?
Oh, yes. I make sure to praise and just get to know them on a personal level and see where they want to go, what their goals are, anything I can do to help. My coworker that I work with in the office, he also teaches Nightingale Nursing School. and she's been a nurse for 46 years.
Oh,
And it's
wow.
funny, I'm her boss, but we just laugh at it, but I do know more about MDS than her. And so, but she's really great at going out there with me and encouraging these kids, to continue, and that they're great at it and to come back and stay with us.
That's
No,
great.
That
I'd like to
long-term care
mention.
needs good nurses.
No, I'd like to mention something on the same aspect, Paul, when you say this. My neighbor went back to nursing school later in life. She became an RN, I want to say in her 40s. And when I had just mentioned Missy's name, she said, Missy. She said, I shadowed Missy when I was getting, I think it was her LPN she was getting before RN. And she remembered Missy out of all of the people that she'd shadowed because of this type of, pushing on and telling them they could continue. And she actually did the Nightingale program. I'm not sure where she heard about that,
Oh,
but
how
she got her
sweet.
LPN and then did the Nightingale.
I
That's-
did love having students. So I did have a lot reach out and always thank me, because when they were here, I didn't see them as a burden. I thought they're here to learn, and how are they going to learn if I don't teach them? And so if I had a peg tube feeding, or I had a catheter that needed done, or a blood draw, I would offer, do you guys want to do this? Let's go do it. And I would take the time out of my day. I mean, I'm here 12 hours anyways, right? Let's go teach these guys, give them the experience. That's what they're here for. And, and I was nice and wouldn't make them feel stupid. I mean, it is about, some people cannot look at them as a nuisance, and I didn't see it that way. I loved having them. I loved students, and I love pushing people to be a better version of themselves. And you just love seeing their face light up when they get that IV, and, where they, and they're very proud. And then it makes me feel good too that, I was able to help them achieve that.
That's
So go ahead, Raylan.
Oh, you go, Angie.
So I actually have a question. We only have a few minutes left, but part of the reason I invited Missy on this was because she has such this really amazing journey of going through these programs as a newly single mother, when before she'd had a home and a husband and all these other things, and all of a sudden she finds herself single with two little girls to take care of. And I think a lot of women can find themselves in that position. Sometimes even men find themselves in a position where they are now the sole caregiver for children, and they don't have a high enough skill base to maybe be able to provide the life they want to for their own children. Missy, if you could give advice to any single parent out there that is looking at getting some employable skills, whether that be through healthcare, through apprenticeships, any other means, what advice would you give them if they're doubting themselves or just aren't sure of where their future lies?
I would say you're not going to know unless you try, and not to be scared, and to always give it a go. Go talk to an academic advisor, have them help you through your planning of what you want to do or you think you are good at, that it's okay to fall down and maybe not do so good, and you get up and brush it off and keep going. I have fallen down many a times in my journey. I've got up every single time, because there's just not a choice, and you can really do anything you want to do. You are your only person in the way. And if you get that out of your head that you're not good enough or you can't do it, you really truly can do it, and you will do it. You just go for it. And you just lean on the people closest around you for support, and you find people, groups that they may offer, and stick with that, and stick to people that are going to support you and cheer you on along the way. And that's what you do. Don't give up.
So great. Time is going to pass one way or the other, right?
Exactly.
And so you might as well just get on the bandwagon and just go with it.
Just go for it. You live once, and life is too short. I've learned that the hard way, that you just do it no matter what you can do.
Well, we are actually running a little low on time. Before I turn it back over to Paul, I would like to mention our CNA classes are much, much more affordable than a traditional
Sorry,
nursing
Angie, I'm gonna
degree.
close this so I can
It's
hear
okay.
you.
So you can actually start with our CNA classes and then go onto your LPN, and then you have an option of doing an ADRN
Yes.
or an RN. And that is what Missy did. She started with our CNA and then went into the LPN program. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
Missy, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story. I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. I enjoyed it. And I'm a talker, sorry.
No,
No,
it's
perfect. It was perfect.
it makes the time go by so fast. And
It did.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it felt like 5 minutes. So hey.
I know. So if anyone's interested in checking out our offerings, they can go to our website at cetrain.isu.edu, or you can email us at cetrain@isu.edu, or give us a call at 208-282-3372. And this podcast is the way that we inform our communities about the offerings that we have, stuff that's going on in the communities, having guests like Missy that share their story. So if you like this podcast, please like, share, subscribe. Raylan, thank you so much for always being here. I appreciate it so much. Angie, can't do this without you. And everyone, be safe out there.